For those of you who have been living under a rock, there's been some crazy things going on in the world of beer, one of the world's oldest drinks. This one particularly relates to Anheuser-Busch, which owns many different beer brands, including Bud Light. And at first it was thought to be a joke, but they announced a partnership with Dylan Mulvaney, and it was on April 1st. Everyone thought it was like an April Fool's Day type of a thing. And then the world realized that it was actually real. And obviously, whenever you're talking about the likes of Dylan Mulvaney, there's going to be a large group of supporters. There's also going to be a large group of haters. And with it, you're going to spin up some buzz. And maybe some people liked that they were doing this, and they're, like I said, supporters. And then obviously you're going to have people on the other side who particularly don't like this move. But I want to point out where it really went downhill. And I'm specifically using the word downhill because if we're looking at the finance of it, like I said, this was announced on April 1st, which happened to be the weekend. So based on the first trading day from them until the most recent close, Bud is down 5%. Now, at first, you might just be thinking 5%, but please understand that that means Budweiser has a market cap of $127 billion. So if you do that math out, and feel free to check it, that means they're down in this time period just under $7 billion. Now, if you know anything about the market, you might be saying, well, hang on, maybe just the market overall isn't doing the best. Let's take a look at the S&P 500, pretty much going flat. So that's a little bit of a problem, but the better way to compare is looking at direct competitors. This is Molson Coors Beverage Company, AKA Kohrs. If we look at that exact same time period, it's up 5%. And we could check it with another competitor, Heineken, which trades under the ticker Heine. That's actually up 2.6%. So we're in a situation where the overall market in the same time period has gone flat, and the competitors have actually gone up, and then yet you're left with Anheuser-Busch, aka Bud, which owns Bud Light, that is down 5%, just under $7 billion. So obviously the market isn't the most happy with everything that went down here. With it, this is just the most popular thing apparently on social media right now. So people have interviewed Dylan about it. The reason that I think I'm an easy target is because I'm so new to this. I think going after a trans woman that's been doing this for like 20 years is a lot more difficult. I think maybe they think that there's some sort of chance with me, but what is their goal? Obviously, Dylan has been receiving a lot of hate on one side, a lot of praise on the other. With that, this concept of like, I'm an easy target, I don't know. It's a little bit of a victim mindset, and you might agree with that. You might disagree with that, but that's not my point here. I want to dive into where I think Anheuser-Busch really made a misstep. And I actually don't think it's the Dylan Mulvaney partnership. I think it's the explanation of the partnership and the innuendos in a certain sense that they made of their current user base. These people, they don't understand me, and anything that I do or say then somehow gets taken out of context and is used against me. And it's so sad because everything I try to put out is positive. It's trying to connect with others that maybe don't understand me. It's to make people laugh or to make a kid feel seen. So once again, I mean, you could look at it and apparently you can't even find these anymore. I think they pulled them. Bud Light, their social media accounts have been like completely quiet, nothing but crickets. They know they made an issue. But once again, I think social media is blowing it up and they're like, no, it's exclusively because of this partnership. I don't think that's the problem. If you ask me, it is right here. This is Bud Light's VP of marketing, the person who made the decision. And I just want to let you know what she said. And I think this is actually the person who orchestrated the deal, but more importantly, how she really referred to the current clientele. And I think that's where we're seeing a major issue with Bud Light.
I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like, we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of bratty, kind of out of touch humor. And it was really important that we had another approach.
Okay. I've spent way too much time thinking about this, so I want to share those thoughts with you. First of all, I want to point out how she positioned this whole discussion. She's smart. Listen to what she said. Bud Light's brand has been on a decline. She is the VP of marketing tasked with fixing it. As in, if it doesn't work, her argument is it was already on decline. Sorry, couldn't fix it. But if it does work, she can collect all of the accolades. That is a very, very smart way to present the entire situation. So she's a smart person. I believe she's a businesswoman because that was a very intelligent way to be like, I can kind of shuck off all of the failure if it happens, but if success comes, it is all mine. It is my great idea. So I just want to point that out. I thought it was interesting. I actually thought it was pretty smart. But back to my main point here of where I really, really think it went downhill was basically saying it's on decline. Our clientele, basically she called them fratty douchebags. I know that wasn't exactly what she used, but that's what she was insinuating. And then from there, she was saying like out of touch humor, blah, 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 like the innovation, whatever. What she said was like the heart of it was inclusivity. Like she's saying a lot of buzzwords that sound good, but also it doesn't make sense. Like there's no objective truth to what she was saying there. Like somehow inclusivity is like the thing that like explodes technology higher, innovation, like all that. No, like it's a very good buzzword. Maybe she's right, but I also don't think she has anything whatsoever to back that up. But then it was near the end where it really blew up, was just saying that these fratty douchebags, they're out of touch humor. So now she's just telling these people that like they're inherently just bad people. I have no degree in marketing, and maybe someone here does, and maybe you could shed a little bit of light on this for me. But when you basically tell your entire consumer base that like they're douchebags and they're wrong and their humor's wrong, I don't think that's a smart marketing move. Call me crazy. And I would argue financially, my opinion has been proven right by the fact that they've almost lost $7 billion at the time that I'm filming this, but I just don't think that's a good way. And of course, that's why there's such a backlash. So I think this is at the heart of it, is all of a sudden you have someone representing a company who is letting them now know how they really feel about their clientele as opposed to just the partnership. I think that's very important. And yeah, some of this is anecdotal, but it's not looking good. Bud Light suffers bloodbath as longtime and loyal consumers revolt against transgender campaigns. So I'm not the biggest fan of like necessarily the campaign. I think this could be articulated better, but I think it's much more of this feeling of saying, oh, wow, like that's what you truly think of us. So right here, they did do some interviews with bar owners. In Bud Light's effort to be inclusive, they excluded almost everybody else, including their traditional audience. And if you look at their quote unquote traditional audience, I mean, the numbers are gonna eventually come out, but I would be willing to bet that the people who have been alienated from the traditional audience is far larger than the cohort of people they're now trying to attract. In just a pure numbers game, they made a very, very bad financial misstep, a very, very bad marketing misstep. Bud Light normally outsells rival products Miller Lite and Kohrs Light 25-1 at Braintree Brewhouse in Massachusetts. Not this week. 80% of Bud Light drinkers ordered something else this week. Brewhouse owner Alex, while the 20% who did order Bud Light weren't on social media and hadn't heard yet. This is anecdotal. One bar is definitely not going to be representative of what's going on the nation level, what's going on the global level. But what's crazy is actually here. One pub in Hell's Kitchen, a New York City neighborhood known for its large and vocal gay community, reported that Bud Light draft sales dropped 58% this week, while Bud Light bottle sales were down 70%. We're not talking about a podunk bar in the middle of nowhere. We're talking about a pub in Hell's Kitchen that is known for a vocal gay community, and even there, Bud Light dropped over 50%, 58 and 70. That is crazy. Another one, the bar sold only 4 12-ounce Bud Light bottles this week. Once again, I know this is anecdotal. I'm not saying that this is like representative of Bud Light everywhere. I'm sure there's a couple counterexamples, but the issue is if this anecdote becomes more and more popular and more bars are starting to see the exact same thing, this could continue to be a bigger and bigger issue for Anheuser-Busch. If we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. I mean, this was what Alyssa had to say, but I think there's a better way to get young drinkers by maybe you shouldn't tell them that their comedy is horrendous and they need to change. Like that just, and basically you're saying you don't like them. That's insane. So obviously this could have other ramifications. Bud Light backlash could hit beer suppliers. So obviously if you think of the upstream issues, such as like the can producers, yeah, there could be issues there. It could impact the business of supplying. So will this cause the stock to go to zero? Will it cause bankruptcy? It could. It depends on how big the, I guess, cancel culture will be against Anheuser-Busch. If everyone starts to think, no way, I'm looking at all their beer and I will not buy a single one, well, maybe it could get bad. But right now, if you were just to take out Bud Light from the Anheuser-Busch repertoire, it would be problematic, but it wouldn't cause it to go to zero because remember, they own many, many brands. So with all that being said, obviously I would love to get your thoughts. Let me know, but I just wanted to shed some maybe quantitative arguments and discussion and just facts about it, as opposed to just like everyone kind of getting riled up the way I see it on social media. But as I alluded to before, a massive financial misstep, a massive marketing misstep. Is this how the story ends? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to be going down in the future, but I can tell you as of now, as of the time of making this video, it is a $7 billion problem and it appears to be growing.